That's huge, isn't it? Good work. This place is so cool. Let's go.
Good morning and welcome to another day of Sam and Tyler's Adventures in London.
Joey and Janice's Day of Fun.
Day 4 in London town was Sunday, January 27, and we didn't really have too much planned for Sunday because it was forecast to be kind of overcast and rainy. So what did we end up doing? Walking around London, forgetting our umbrella. By our 4th day, we'd hit pretty much a lot of the places that we had wanted to go, except for a few museums. But we learnt from Saturday that museums might not be the best place to go on a weekend. And if you missed that video, I've got the link below. So click on that if you want to see why museums aren't the best place to go on a Saturday in London. So instead we decided to check out the BBC offices. So we jumped on a bus and then the London Underground and off we went. Public transport in London is brilliant. We got an Oyster card as soon as we got off the plane and it's just been so handy. You can use it on buses and trains and it's just so easy to get everywhere in London using public transport. The London Underground can be a little bit daunting if you haven't used it before, but it's really not that bad. Google Maps is your best friend and the public transport system in London is brilliant. But once we got off the tube, we were heading in the direction of the BBC offices and all of the buildings in London are just beautiful, and I've said that before in another video, but I just love walking around the streets of London and looking at all of the architecture and the buildings. And on our way to the BBC offices, we saw this cute little building that ended up being the Church of All Souls, and it had this clock on top of it with this spire, and it was just a beautiful little building that we just stumbled across on the way to BBC. The BBC offices are housed in this cool modern building. Looks like it's made out of glass. And when we got there were all of these reporters and camera people out the front that must have been waiting for someone that was inside doing an interview or something. The BBC offices themselves are located in the Marylebone area. That whole Marylebone, Mayfair, Covent Garden area is just so beautiful to walk through. As we were walking through all of those areas, we just stumbled across this very European looking building. What I imagine kind of probably German buildings to look like. I've never been to Germany, but it's what I would imagine German buildings to look like. And that was really cool to see, just in the middle of London, these charming little European buildings. And off that main street, we actually found another street called Carnaby Street, and that was really cool as well. As you're walking through the street, you see this glittering, shimmery sign that says Carnaby with the Union Jack behind it, and it looks really, really cool. I'm probably saying cool too much, aren't I? It's cool though. We were walking towards Piccadilly Circus when we stumbled across all of this. Piccadilly Circus is kind of in the West End or part of the West End of London, and there are all of these double-decker red buses going past, which is awesome, and it's where a lot of the theatres are, so I'm pretty sure that that area was where we saw Book of Mormon the first night that we were here. As we were exploring the area, we stumbled across what I think was Chinatown, or Chinatown Gate, I think is what it's actually called. It's this beautiful little street with all of these Chinese lanterns and really interesting looking restaurants, and it's just got a really cool atmosphere as you walk through it. But I love Asian culture, so every time we stumble across a Chinatown or a little Tokyo or something, I get so excited because I just love it. And then it was on to Trafalgar Square. Most of my knowledge of these British landmarks in London come from my very tomboyish upbringing of playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. And wow, did I wish I had a PlayStation to play that game while I was in London, because walking around it, I was like, I've skated here before, all on Tony Hawk 4.
Hey up, care to attempt a high score, bloke?
It didn't quite look exactly the same, but I definitely had that I've been here before feeling. So many places walking around London just brought back a nostalgic feeling, even though I've never been to London before, all from playing that Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 game, which, in my opinion, is the best Tony Hawk game. And I even had that feeling when I went and visited Alcatraz in San Francisco, because they have the Alcatraz level in Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. It's great. I love it. Now talking about it, I wish I had a PlayStation here so I could play it again. But anyway, back to Trafalgar Square. Trafalgar Square is very impressive and there's so much history surrounding it, but I was definitely geeking out. And then we headed over to Covent Garden. But unfortunately, as we were walking towards Covent Garden, it just started raining. So we were trying to get cover under some streets and we ended up ducking into, I think, a Tesco Express or something on the way there. So we didn't really spend too much time around Covent Garden area because it was just freezing. It was so cold, especially in the rain and the wind. The wind had picked up that day, which sucked. But we're also meeting one of my friends, Hannah, for a mid-afternoon Sunday roast thing that day, so we didn't have too much time to spend in Covent Garden anyway. So it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was so cold and I really wish I had brought an umbrella that day. We ended up meeting Hannah in Notting Hill at the Windsor Castle pub there. I think there are a few Windsor Castle pubs in London itself, but the one in Notting Hill, we went there and it was so cute, and it was this little pokey pub where you had to kind of duck under things to get to different rooms, and that kind of quintessential English pub. On our way to go and see Hannah, we stumbled across Somerset House, which is another beautifully architectured building, and it's located right on the Thames, and I think now it's like a public art facility. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, that was our 4th day in London, and I promise that I'll soon be putting up videos that aren't this sit down and talk in front of a camera thing. There'll be some variety in the videos that I put up shortly, so stay tuned for that, and please like, comment and subscribe. And please like, comment and subscribe if you like this and you want to see more. I'll be putting out a lot more videos about house sitting adventures and our traveling adventures, so yeah, stay tuned for that. Thanks again for watching, guys. Bye.